Praise be Jesus Christ. There was a man with 3 servants. One day the man went on a journey, and he left his servants with money. This money was called the talent. To the first servant he gave 5 talents, to the second he gave 2 talents, and to the third he gave 1 talent. When the man was gone, the first servant went and made 5 more talents. The second servant made 2 more talents, and the third servant buried his talent in the ground. When the master returned, he asked his servants what they had done. And the first servant said, "I've made 5 more." And the master said, "Good and faithful servant, good job." The second servant said, "Oh, I've made 2 more." And the master said, "Good and faithful servant, you've done well." But when the third servant came, he gave him the talent that he had buried. And the master said, "Wicked and lazy servant." This is the parable of the talents, in which the first 2 servants maximized what they had, and the third servant did not. The third servant in this parable is very representative of our culture today. Many people ask themselves, what's the least I can do to get by? There's this culture of mediocrity that aims to going through the wide and easy path. And this mediocrity can be caused by 2 things. It could either be that the person is apathetic, they don't care. They ask themselves, what's the easiest grade I can do to pass this course? Or they can do it because of a false humility. They say, no, I'm not going to strive to do this great deed because I might get praise for it and I don't want to stay humble. That's false, however. Our Lord tells us, to whom much is given, much will be required. We are to make the most we can of the talents that God gives us. I like to think of it in the form of an analogy. We are all like cups. Some cups can hold a lot of water, like a large size cup at Subway. Whereas a small little cup, like a shot glass, for example, can hold a small amount of water. That's like us. Some people can do more things. They're more talented, they're more smart, they're more athletic, while other people just aren't as. And the more we do, the more we fill our cups. We all have a different capacity. But what matters is what we do with that capacity. Do we fill it to the brim, or do we squander it like the third servant? A great example of someone who filled their cup to the brim and it even overflowed was Saint Teresa of Calcutta. This woman went to the poorest part of the world and spent years in the service of those who are less fortunate. She gave her whole life up. She did so much. Now, how can we fill our cups in our own lives? Well, we can do it in the simplest of tasks. It can be washing dishes to the best of your ability. It could be reading a book and trying to apprehend it the best you can. It can be, most importantly, putting the most reverence you can in Mass and loving God the best you can. Our Lord calls us not to be of this world. The world wants us to do the least we can to get by. God calls us to do the most. Praise be the name of God forever.